Hi, it's Dr. Mike, and thanks for taking your valuable time to watch this presentation. Our Fast Track to Health is usually given in a group format at night in our office, but we found that using this method is much more effective for getting this vital information to you, and our hopes is that you can share this with your friends and family. We'll have two free gifts for you just for watching this presentation. Please have your pen and your Fast Track to Health form ready to write down and circle the answers to a couple of powerful questions I'll be asking, as well as noting the two keywords to receive your gifts. My hope is that you're sitting watching this with either your friends or family, or preferably both. We have found that those who get the understanding and support of their circle of friends and influence get the best results from their time in this office. So, first question, and it's not on the form. Who said the doctor of the future will give no medicine but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, in diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease? If you said Thomas Edison, you would be correct. So, our mission is to educate, empower, and inspire our community. This helps you make the positive lifestyle changes so you can experience optimal health, happiness, and well being and fulfill your human potential during this brief time on planet Earth. This is one of the two stories that I'm going to tell you tonight that are uh, that move me to do these types of presentations. This is the story of the man in the air who died in the air. And it's a story of a friend of mine who, when she was 11 years old, her dad, who was a very, very successful businessman, they were going on their first daddy and daughter vacation. And he was successful in every aspect of business. But what he failed to do is he failed to take care of himself. He didn't have time to exercise. He didn't spend time with his family. He didn't set time aside to eat healthy. And what actually happened is he had a heart attack and he died in the air. And this 11-year-old girl had to sit on the plane while they made a medical landing, and she had to sit there with her father sitting next to her. Just think of how that little girl felt and ask yourself, if this man could have done something different, do you think he would have? So, my objectives tonight, or my intent, is to let you know that this is what I do and this is what I don't do. By the end of tonight, my wish is that you absolutely get that yes, this is what you want to do, or no, this is not what you want to do. And if the answer is no, then all you did was waste, a half hour to 40 minutes of your time, and you really didn't waste any money. On the other hand, if you get that this is what you want to do, my wish is that you absolutely jump in with both feet. My experience with patients is either they dip their toe in the water to test the waters, saying, well, I'll give this a try. I'll do some of what Dr. Mike says, and I'll follow his recommendations. Or they jump in with both feet and they say, I'm absolutely ready to change, and I want to regain my health. I want to get better faster and stay well for a lifetime. And I'll do whatever it takes to get the desired results. I absolutely get what Dr. Mike is saying, and I'm ready to go for it. For those of you already under my care, my wish for you is that you recommit to your health and to this process. I realize this is an old cliche, but there is no question in my mind that the most important thing in our lives is our health. Until you've lost it, you don't realize this. But I can tell you from personal experience, there is nothing more important than my health. Just by the show of hands, can anyone relate to what I'm saying? Great. Most of you have come to see me because you have some health issues that you'd like to get better and stay better, or you are considering a different approach to health and wellness. I will be discussing my version of the causes of health and healing and the causes of dis-ease. I will be discussing some things that you've heard before and some things you may not have. Most likely, I will say some things that you disagree with, and some things I might even make you feel a little uncomfortable or confrontational or could even possibly offend you, and that's not my intent. My request is that you listen with open mind and open heart. And when we're done, you're welcome to accept my concepts as part of your belief system or simply let them go. The point is, we all know the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. If you'd like to get better and regain or maintain your health, then most likely you will need to do some things different than you've done in the past. And sometimes it takes a rocket thruster to break out of our old patterns and regain our health. So, my wish for tonight is to help shift the consciousness of the community from a disease care model to a wellness model and save thousands of lives in the process. It's also for you to share this information with your friends and family and potentially save their lives. And as I said before, I will give you two special gifts at the end of this talk. Okay, let's get started. All right, time to take out your Fast Track to Health forms. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your health, with 10 being the best and 1 being or 0 being the worst? How about your quality of life? How about your stress level? Let's break that down a little bit. How about your physical stress level and your emotional stress level? How about your biochemical stress level? How about your fitness? Nutrition? On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is your health to you? And how long would you want to live if you had a better quality of life? Now, I'm going to hold on a second here so that you can write down some of that. Okay. What would your life look like when you got there? And at the rate you're going, is this likely to happen? All right. So, who knows what is the fastest growing group of people in the United States today? If you said centenarians or people over 100 years old, you'd be right. And there's probably over 5,000 of them right now. And by 2050, they expect over 70,000. So let me ask you a question. When the people who were 100 years old were born, do you know what their life expectancy was? It was 50 years old. So they've actually doubled their life expectancy. So what I ask people is, if you knew you were going to be living to 100, would you have done anything differently or treated yourself differently? And answer it truly, fairly. Most of the time when I ask these questions, people say, I'm 45 years old. I don't want to live to 100. All right, let's try a thought experiment. Your empire, which is your minimum potential years remaining, is your oldest relative ever minus your current age, and that's your empire. So if you had Aunt Sally who lived to 100 and you're 45, you have 55 years left. You haven't even reached the halfway point. So are you going to do anything to change the way you're living? Let's look at what we can help you become one of these healthy centenarians with a great quality of life. Make no mistake about it, we are in the middle of a health crisis. In the US, the number one killer is cardiovascular disease. Nearly 1 million deaths annually. It's a very preventable lifestyle disease. Economics of illness. The U.S. spent over $2 trillion per year on sick care. That's over $6,500 for every man, woman, and child. Starbucks spent more money on health insurance than it did on coffee. beans. And the Fortune 500 company spent more money on health insurance than they made in profits. So, why is there such a health crisis? You'll see that when you apply sick care to healthy people, you get sick, dying, and dead people. I'll ask you another question. When you feel great and you're full of energy and you have no symptoms, do you wake up thinking I should call my medical doctor? Or typically you call your medical doctor when you're what? Yeah, you're sick. So sick care and crisis care are very important services to our culture. However, they are not health care. So if I'm out coaching baseball or coaching soccer and I slip and fall, please get me to the emergency room because we are number one in the world in emergency medicine. But don't take me there after that to help me get healthy and stay healthy. So there are two models of healthcare with two distinct and different intents and purposes. Disease care is the detection and treatment of symptoms, disease, and infirmity. More progressive MDs and others who practice this model strive for early detection. And the best, this is really important, and the best that you can hope for is fixing a problem after it occurs. And what is disease? Well, in the disease care model, it's the presence of something evil. In the Middle Ages, when you had sailors that went out, their skin actually fell off when they were out at sea, and they were forced to walk the plank because they thought the others thought that they were possessed by demons. It was actually scurvy. That is why their British sailors are referred to as limeys because they started giving them limes and the problem went away. So let's look at the wellness care model. Disease is not the presence of something evil, it is the absence of something essential. In wellness care, it's based on promoting, regaining, and or maintaining health and wellness and thereby preventing disease and infirmity. So, talk about the story of Uncle Joe. Everybody has an Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe was, the guy who was the life of the party, never was sick a day in his life, never missed a day of work, and Uncle Joe just went up and dropped dead. We all know these people. We all know we may have an Uncle Joe. So the question is, does the absence of symptoms mean you're healthy? If Uncle Joe dropped dead of a heart attack, did his heart just stop working or did he have heart disease and it was just silent? And believe it or not, really the first symptom in heart disease is death. It's a heart attack and death. Okay, optimal health. A state of optimal physical, mental, and social well being, and not merely the absence of disease and infirmity. That's right at Dorland's Medical Dictionary. It is the ability to express your human potential at 100%, your innate genius. This is Dr. Patchen Tempo's a good friend of mine, and he actually came up with a definition for wellness. And he said it is the degree to which an individual experiences health and vitality in any dimension of life. So, in looking at our two models of healthcare with two distinct and different intents and purposes, disease care is what do I need to do to survive, like take meds, or moving away from something you don't want, like disease, being reactive, worried about being a victim, and the fear of dying. In the wellness care model, what do I have to do to thrive? Taking supplements, exercising. I'm moving towards what I want or what you want. Being proactive, empowered, and living actively. Which would you prefer? So, if we're going to give disease care a report card, what would we give them? Now, I am not bashing MDs. They are good people. My best friends are MDs. It's just that the paradigm or the premise doesn't work. So I'm going to go over these statistics, and they're not Mike Akinfora's opinion. They're right out of the best journals in the world. And again, I ask you, listen with an open heart and an open mind. Over 700,000 Americans die each year at the hands of government-sanctioned medicine. 106,000 people die each year partly as a result of adverse drug reactions. 98,000 people die each year as a result of preventable medical errors. 88,000 people die each year as a result of hospital infections. And 68,000 people die each year as a result of unnecessary procedures and surgeries. 8.8 million people wind up in the hospital each year, and they account for up to 28% of all hospital admissions because of prescription drugs. U.S. healthcare spending reached $2.5 trillion in 2009, representing 17% of the nation's gross national product. The U.S. loses more lives to patient safety incidents or medical errors every 6 months than it did in the Vietnam War. That's out of a 2004 study. This equates to 3 fully loaded jumbo jets crashing every other day for the last 5 years. In 1994, Dr. Lucian Leape of Harvard Medical School said that his figure of 180,000 medical mistakes resulted in death annually was equivalent to 3 jumbo jets crashing every 2 days. But later went on to say in reality it's equivalent to 6 jumbo jets falling out of the sky each day, because only 5 to 20% of the iatrogenic acts were ever reported. Medicine, and what Dr. Leape said was, medicine is now a high hazard industry like the aviation industry, but the chance of dying in an aviation accident is 1 in 2 million, while the chance of dying in a medical accident is 1 in 200. Dr. Chris Kent wrote this in the 1990s. We're having a war on drugs. Where should we concentrate our efforts? Every year, 10,000 people die from use of illegal drugs. But every year, 16,000 people die from NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories like Tylenol and ibuprofen. And I gave this statistic to you before. Every year, at least 106,000 people die from prescription drugs. It's 10 times the amount of illegal drugs. So the question you're asking yourself is, how can this be? How is this even possible? This is possible because 70% of clinical research is now funded by drug companies. This is written by Chris Lambert of the Harvard Magazine. Only about 15% of medical interventions are supported by scientific data. This is partly because only 1% of the articles in medical journals are scientifically sound. This is Dr. David Eddy, British Medical Journal. The U.S. ranks 37th in the world in its healthcare system performance according to the World Health Organization. The average American age 19 to 64 is now on close to 11 prescriptions. I just read an article today that said 65-year-old senior citizens are on close to 17 prescription drugs. That's the average senior citizen. A Reuters report states that the U.S. has the highest infant mortality rate of any Western industrialized nation. And this happens when we start vaccinating babies in a hospital before they even have immune systems able to respond. They get close to 40 shots before the age of 5. Don't get me wrong, medicine has its place in our world, and some of us would not be alive today if it were not present. So the disease care report card, you can write it down for yourself. So I say it's time for a new approach to health and wellness. Our old Uncle Albert Einstein said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. In 2007, $33 billion were spent on alternative care providers with 354 million visits. Those alternative care providers included doctors of chiropractic, massage, homeopathy, herbalists, and acupuncture. So, what determines longevity and quality of life? Some people would say it's genetics. Most common answer. Science does not support this idea any longer. Each gene has an on-off switch. This is Dr. Bruce Lipton, and he says we're not a slave to our genes. Another question: what determines longevity and quality of life? Some people say lifestyle. Our lifestyle stresses affect the expression of our genes and the function of our brain and nervous system. Very important. But this isn't the answer either. What is it? It's the nervous system. Because the nervous system controls and coordinates all the functions of the body. Interference with the quality or quantity of the nervous system function interferes with the health, longevity, quality of life, and genetic expression. So, my question to you is, what is chiropractic? I hear people say all the time that they don't believe in chiropractic. I always tell them it's not a religion. You can't believe in it or not. It's a science, art, and philosophy. I've had people come up to me at parties, and I usually start off by asking them, what do they think chiropractic is? And they usually say, and after that uncomfortable silence, I say, no wonder you don't believe in chiropractic. I wouldn't either. I then ask them if they'd like to hear my version of chiropractic. And assuming they're interested in what I tell them, I have to tell you every single person I've ever said this to, especially the medical doctors, say, wow, that makes perfect sense. I had no idea. So this is where we begin. Chiropractic is based on these simple truths. The body is self-healing and self-regulating. This means that when you cut yourself, you heal it. If I cut a dead body, the dead body's not going to heal. It's self-regulating, meaning that the heart, liver, kidneys, and all the other cells, tissue, and organs in the body, they're controlled without your conscious thought. You don't have to think about it. For example, check your blood pressure and then go out for a run and recheck it. It's going to be higher. Then sit for a while and recheck it. It goes back to normal. You don't have to think about bringing your blood pressure down. It goes down all by itself. The purpose of the brain and the nervous system is to control and coordinate the function of all the cells, tissues, and organs in the body and to adapt the organism to its environment. It's at a Gray's Anatomy. So is there anything the nervous system does not control? No. We literally live our lives through our nervous system. And if there is interference in your nervous system, what we call a subluxation, your body cannot function as was intended and is no longer self-healing and self-regulating. And the longer that interference or subluxation to the nerve system, the more devastating the effects are to your health and well-being. And our job as chiropractors is to locate, analyze, and correct the subluxations and their causes, allowing your body to again regain its self-healing and self-regulating properties, thereby allowing you to enjoy optimal health, well-being, longevity, and quality of life. So there's this thing called innate intelligence, and it is innate meaning inborn and intelligence meaning wisdom. It is the intelligence that grows your hair, digests your food, and gives you your beautiful color in your eyes. You don't have to think about it, it just happens. A spinal subluxation is a state of the body where overwhelming lifestyle stresses causes interference with the nervous system function and results in spinal misalignments. A major focus of chiropractic is to address these spinal misalignments, spinal subluxations, and their causes. So, Get your pen and paper out. Our first keyword is subluxation. That's at the bottom of your form. First keyword is subluxation. What is a subluxation? It's when the spine is no longer moving through its normal range of motion and is considered misaligned. Why is range of motion so important? It's because joints should glide. And why should joints glide? If joints do not glide, they'll grind and lead to osteoporosis or osteoarthritis. It's like a rusty gate. That's this hinge that you see. It takes a lot of energy and effort to get it open and to get it moving. Once it gets moving, it kind of lubricates itself, but it's really, really hard to get it moving. This man is Dr. Roger Sperry. He's the 1981 Nobel Peace Prize winner. He said that 90% of the stimulation and nutrition to the brain is generated by movement of the spine. This would be analogous to a windmill generating electricity. So Dr. Sperry is not a chiropractor. And basically he was saying the more you move, the more nutrition and stimulation you provide to the brain. The less you move, the less nutrition and movement stimulation to the brain. So why is posture so important? Posture is so important because deviations in the body's center of gravity cause poor posture, which resulted in intestinal problems, hemorrhoids, varicose veins, osteoporosis, hip and foot deformities, poor health, decreased quality of life, and shorter lifespan. This is not out of a chiropractic journal. This is out of the Journal of American Medical Association, written in 1957. The loss of the cervical curve, or i.e. the loss of normal spinal posture, stretches the spinal cord 5 to 7 centimeters and causes disease. This is Dr. Alfred Breg, neurosurgeon, again another Nobel Prize winner. If you look at this woman in the picture, you can see how far out her neck, her head juts over her spine. The forward head posture leads to long-term muscle strain, disc herniations, arthritis, and pinched nerves. That's out of the Mayo Clinic of 2000. What actually happens when you wear a cervical collar? Our brains literally shrink. What happens when we get adjusted? This is a functional MRI. In the top picture, there the brain is firing a lot more. It is 1/20th the amount of energy for this is a picture of a person moving their foot in a functional MRI. After the adjustment, it takes 1/20th the amount of energy. So neural tissues, which are spinal cord, nerve roots, and surrounding tissues or meninges, are compromised, elongated, stretched, or have pressure put on them by misaligned vertebra. This is commonly called a pinched nerve. When there is an alteration, change, or disruption of the mental impulses, this is the term. A mental impulse is the non-local intelligence in quantum physics. It is a term used to describe the information that goes from the brain to every cell and back to the brain again. When we look at subluxations that interfere with the nervous system, causing malfunction and breakdown, in the neck area, we see headaches, dizziness, and sinus problems. In the mid-back area, we see gas, bloating, indigestion. And in the lower part, we see menstrual problems and constipation. A subluxation by Latin is sub, which is less than, lux, which is the international unit of light, and then ation or nation is a group of bodies. So less life force flowing through our group or body of cells. So what causes subluxation? Well, physical can be how you use your body, and negative physical stress is sleep deprivation, sports injuries, etc., slips and falls, babies, infants falling when they're learning, toddlers falling when they're learning to walk, things like that. Biochemical, negative biochemical stress is excessive consumption of alcohol, smoking, artificial sweeteners, our environment, a whole bunch of things. And psychological, negative psychological stress is financial troubles, arguments with spouse, and impossible career deadlines. Basically, more stress than you can handle. So there are two types of subluxations, ones that are easy and ones that are not so easy to correct, like peeling an onion to correct present damage. How do you know if you have a subluxation? You really don't, because only 10% of the nerve system is responsible for pain. The rest is function. And like with the Uncle Joe story, you really you don't know. How do you know if you have a subluxation? Well, if we equate it to a fire going off in your house and the alarm goes off, what do we do as a society to this alarm? Well, we stifle it or put something over the alarm so that we don't hear it. It's similar to how we take medication for the problem. And then if that doesn't work, we can cut the wire, similar to how we do surgery. Or we can go to the cause and put out the fire and correct the damage and show you ways not to recreate that problem in the future. So it is critical that the messages from the brain travel down the spinal cord through the spinal openings to all the cells and then back to the brain without interference. Subluxation is clearly a health problem, not a back problem. Measuring what matters, we look at your lifestyle and your nervous system. The equipment on the left is our subluxation station, which we utilize, and I'm going to go through that right now. So it's how you function, how you feel. In the upper left, we have our EMG, which measures your muscular activity in your body. In the lower left, we have what's called our heart rate variability, which looks at how your body is balanced between your fight, flight, and your parasympathetic system. Basically, when in old times when the saber-toothed tiger was running after you, you were in fight flight mode, and then when you ran up the tree and got your spear and speared the saber-toothed tiger and shared it with your village, this is your parasympathetic. So it should be in that little box, and what we find is when it's not, you're out of balance, and your whole system's out of balance. The one in the upper right is really neat. It's a thermography. It measures inflammation, and it gives us a great idea of what's going on with the body. This is a story of Amber. These are taken a month apart. Amber's only 6 years old, and you talk about easy ways to correct subluxation. She presents with a history of 4 years of asthma, 13 different medications, 2 sets of ear tubes, and 3 solid weeks of continuous cough, and 2 numerous antibiotic prescriptions to count. When asked by Amber what brought her to our clinic, the reply was no one else has helped. And here it is a month later, after 6 visits, was still on some of the medications. And her parents were elated about the results, but nervous about Amber coming off. The follow-up is October of '03. Not one medication in her body, not one asthma attack, not one. She can run, play, do sports. Her teachers are always concerned about her breathing, but Amber replies, "I'm fine." And her insight scans confirm that. So this is what a normal scan looks like. This is what somebody looked like when they came into our office initially. This is 4 weeks later, and this is 8 weeks later. Very good results. The initial exam for another patient. Re-exam, you could see it's a little more colorful, but then 4 months later, it's completely normal. So our goal is to help you stop banging your head against the wall. And we have in our office the ability to do that. We want to partner with you on every step of your wellness journey, from chiropractic to physical therapy to our state-of-the-art supplement line, as well as massage and our one-of-a-kind creating wellness program that addresses all three aspects of wellness, in addition to an online community at My Creating Wellness Space and the nutritional supplements. We have a state-of-the-art team in place. If you want to dive deeper into your nutrition, we have a holistic nutritionist to help you on your wellness journey. So my question to you is, what would you give chiropractic for their healthcare report card? The science of chiropractic. I'm going to give you a couple of studies that have been done so that you can see for yourself that we address the spine, but when you address the spine and correct the subluxation, wonderful things happen. So here's the biggest study that I say has happened. Henry Windsor, a medical doctor at Haverford, Pennsylvania, wrote, "The object of these necropsies or dissections was to determine whether any connection existed between minor curvatures of the spine on the one hand and the diseased organs on the other, or whether the two were entirely independent of each other." This is what he found. Stomach disease, all 9 cases of spinal misalignment in the mid-thoracic area had stomach disease. For all 26 cases of lung disease had spinal misalignments in the upper thoracic. All 13 cases of liver disease had misalignments in their mid-thoracic. All 5 cases with gallstone or gallbladder disease had spinal misalignments. All 17 with kidney disease were out of alignment in the lower. All 8 cases with kidney, prostate, or bladder had lumbar vertebra misalignments. There were 2 cases with uterine conditions in the second vertebra, and all 20 with heart and pericardium conditions had upper thoracic vertebra misalignments. Now, this took place in 1921, was never done again. Why do you think that is? This proves chiropractic within a shadow of a doubt. They've never redid this study. Interesting. Study on infant colic. A satisfactory result occurred within 2 weeks in 94% of the cases receiving chiropractic care. Blood pressure. The systolic diastolic blood pressure decreased significantly in the adjusted group, but not in the placebo and control groups. Ulcers demonstrated endoscopically and pain relief an average of 10 days earlier. Ear infections. Antibiotic treatment did not improve the rate of recovery of patients in this study. In fact, they stated patients who did not take antibiotics had a higher rate of recovery. He published the results of 93% of all episodes improved, 75% in 10 days or less. Painful cramps. Chiropractic may be effective and safe non-pharmacological alternative for relieving the pain and distress of primary dysmenorrhea, which is painful cramps. Quality of life. 95% of the respondents reported that their expectations had been met, and 99% wished to continue with care. In asthma, they significantly lowered impairment rating scores. Its improvement reported for 90% of subjective 60 days after, for subjects 60 days after chiropractic care. In addition, 30% of the children voluntarily decreased their dosage of medication by an average of 66% while under chiropractic care. All right, the second biggest study I think that's come out is the DNA study, which shows serum thiols are a measure of the human health status. It is a surrogate estimate of DNA repair. People under long-term chiropractic care from 52 to 312 weeks showed the highest serum thiol levels, meaning gene regeneration. Let me tell you, if this had been a drug, the person who came up with this would have got the Nobel Prize. Okay, so we're going to play the posture game. Take out your Fast Track to Health form, and what I want you to do is stand up and partner with the person next to you. I want you to march in place with your eyes closed. Now put your hands at your side and stop, and keep your eyes closed. Your partner's going to look at your head. Is one eye, one ear higher than the other? How about your shoulder, your hips, your feet? Now, what I want you to do is to circle the arrows. Are they equal, or is one hip higher than the other, one shoulder higher than the other? Take your time. Go ahead. Now we're going to switch to the side, and let's look from the side. Is your ear in front, over, or behind the shoulder? How about your shoulder? Is the shoulder in front, over, or behind the hip? And how about your hip? Is your hip in front, over, or behind the ankle? And how about the ankles? Are they equal distant apart, or are they uneven? And now you guys can switch and put this on pause, and we'll get right back to you after you've done that. So this is our second keyword. It is wellness. Please go to your Fast Track to Health form and write down your second keyword. That's fantastic. So this is a picture of me and my family on vacation. And my question is, so your health is for you to choose. It's your family's health. And my question is, which model do you want for them? Disease care or health and wellness care? Remember at the beginning I mentioned that I'd be very clear about what I do and what I don't do? Well, if you're looking for someone to act as the band-aid, you might not be in the right place. But if you're looking for someone to partner with you that can help you not only regain your health and get to the underlying causes of your problem and help you continue to have greater and greater levels of health and well-being, well, you're in the right place and welcome aboard. Remember what I said about the story about Uncle Joe, and my question is, what came first, the heart disease or the heart attack? And that's right, it was the heart attack that came second, and the heart disease was there all along. So which do you think comes first, the subluxation or less than optimal health and the symptoms? That's right, it's the subluxations. So you were able to see before and after the electromyograph and thermographs where we were not only able to pick up the problems that the patient came in with, but we were able to pick up their digestive problems and other areas of concern. So let me ask you this. When do you think it's the best time for you to get checked for subluxations, or for your spouse or your children or your friends? Should you wait until you have symptoms, or should you come in first and let me run this test on you and get my hands on your spine to see if there's subluxations now, or do you want to wait for symptoms? That's right. Why wait? Get checked now. Of course, if you or your loved ones already have symptoms, well, it's absolutely time to get them checked. So it comes to the last story of the night, and this is the story of Liz. And Liz, this is actually her daughter Isabel and her husband Freddie. Um, Liz came into my office, um, and she was at wit's end. She had a condition called trigeminal neuralgia. For people who have this, a large majority of them commit suicide because the pain is so bad. She had what is described as intractable pain, 10 out of 10, and constant for 6 months. She was on 15 different medications, and she came to me because her sister-in-law said you should give chiropractic a chance because I think I might be able to. Dr. Mike might be able to help you. So Liz came in against the advice of her neurologist, who told her that she was wasting her time and her money. And we did our tests, we did our scans, and we had Liz lay down on the table and brought her back and had her lie down on the table and did an adjustment on her, and she jumped off the table. Now, Liz is a big woman. She's a big woman, and she jumped off the table and said she was going to kill him. Now, at first, I thought she was talking about me, and then Liz was crying because there were tears of joy. The pain, which had been there for 6 months, was gone. And she said, I'm going to tell that neurologist a thing or two. And the funny thing is, if the story ends there, that's a beautiful story. But what Liz didn't know at the time was that her 5 year plan to take over the world while she was a CPA and studying for her MBA was that she was pregnant at 40 years old. And the result is Isabel. What she didn't know was that she was pregnant. And when she went home after that first adjustment, she flushed all of her medications down the drain. I believe to this day that she saved her daughter's life by doing that. So, I told you that we'd have two gifts for you. And for sitting through this class, the first gift is that we will do a full visit 1 and visit 2, meaning that we'll do the scans, we'll do x rays, we'll do everything in our power for your friends and family. For if you bring them in the next 2 weeks, we'll do that at our cost. It's normally about $250, but we'll do that at our cost. Our second gift, which is beautiful, and thank goodness we have a wonderful massage therapist, is for sitting through the presentation, we're going to give you a half-hour massage. And that's normally $75 or normally $60. So I want to thank you. I hope that we can partner together. I look forward to being with you every step of the way on this journey. Thanks and have a great day.